It's often said that a team takes on the personality of its head coach, and that certainly seems to be the case with these Michigan Wolverines. John Beilein not only has led Michigan to the NCAA championship game for the second time in 5 years, or 6 seasons, he's also the winningest coach in the program's storied history and one greatly respected across the country. Jack Dole spent some time talking with prominent college basketball reporters, analysts, and play-by-play guys to get their thoughts on Beilein, and Jack joins us again live from San Antonio with their thoughts. Jack?
Yeah, Larry, interesting note here. If Michigan wins this championship game, it'll be career win number 800 for John Beilein. 800 wins. He's respected not just because of his X and O's, and he's one of the best in the business at that. He's respected because of the way he develops his players, and his character is unquestioned. John Beilein, you talked about him and the respect he gets. What does a national championship do for his legacy?
Well, obviously it cements it as one of the all-time great coaches, which I think to those of us who cover the sport or to people in the state of Michigan, they've come to respect about it. Like, man, what can you do there? But I think there's something bigger at play, in all honesty. John Beilein, by all accounts, runs a squeaky clean program. And in a year in which most of the discussion has been about the FBI investigation and people not doing it the right way, I think it'd be kind of special, considering the last championship game apparently is off the books, for him to lead a team that finishes in 5th place in the Big Ten to win a Big Ten tournament and win a national championship. To climb the ladder from Richmond and Canisius and Richmond and West Virginia, and almost get there with West Virginia, get here and come up just so close against Louisville, to finally do it and do it in a year to which the discussion is so much about college coaches that don't do it the right way. For one of the great professors in the sport to do it the right way to win it, I think it'd be pretty special for the entirety of the profession.
There's no doubt he's unbelievably respected among his peers, so whether or not he ever wins a championship, I mean, John Beilein is going to go down as one of the great tacticians of college basketball, someone who was never an assistant. I mean, I think that story is so incredible, and someone who's redefined himself. I mean, I think to be at this age in your career, to be 40 years into coaching and say, you know what, I think I'm going to go about it a little differently. I'm going to hire someone to run my defense. I mean, to have that kind of self-actualization of doing it differently. So I think he's respected in that way, but maybe externally, outside of his peer group, if you get that cherry on top of winning a national championship, maybe people then externally do view you differently. Although I feel like we're living in this John Beilein renaissance right now, where people are finally having this awareness, maybe with this team more than any other, of how good he is.
As far as I know, he's always done it the right way, with class. He really cares about the right things, about the people involved, the impact that he can have on the young people. We don't have time to talk about it. There's a lot of great little human interest stories about John and the way he's treated people at his stops over the years, and I'm really happy for his success. I think he's one of the great coaches of this era.
You got one story, one that just really kind of captures John Beilein?
There are a couple. The one that I will always remember is when he was at Lemoyne, they had an adult man who was special needs, and he was around the program helping wash the uniforms. He was one of those guys, everybody on the team loved him and knew him, and he traveled to the games. And John always made sure that when they got back from a road game, either the bus dropped this gentleman off at the home where he lived, or John took him home. So years later, John was at West Virginia. We were doing a game at Syracuse. There was a story in the paper about that. And the sports information director at West Virginia said, what the article didn't say is, tonight, we're going to go to that man's house with the West Virginia bus, pick him up. He's going to sit on our bench. And when the game's over, before we go back to the airport to fly home, we're going to drive this gentleman home to his house. And that's the kind of guy John Beilein is. I'm almost getting a little choked up telling you the story.
We talked to a couple of guys that said it'd be important to try and win one for John Beilein.
You know what? I can't disagree. If there's anybody who deserves a chance, an opportunity, and he has another one to win, to me, it won't culminate his career because I don't want him to go anywhere, but it would be a fitting tribute for him to win one and win his first.
Yeah, to add to Sean McDonough's story, if you followed this Michigan team this year, Larry, you no doubt know the story of Jude Stamper and the way they have involved him in this program. Casey Jones will have his story tomorrow at 5 or 6 o'clock. He also has a great sense of humor, Larry. He was asked earlier today who would play him and who would play Jay Wright if they did a movie about this national championship game. And he said, well, of course, George Clooney would play Jay Wright. He said, for me, probably Peter Falk, you know, the guy that plays Columbo. He said, I'd love to have Kevin Costner play me, but let's be real here.